it would load the same way, right? So I need to add some money, right? So what I want to do is, in this case, I'm going to use Bitcoin, meaning I'm going to load money from an external Bitcoin wallet. And this part, most of you have probably seen before. I'm going to copy my public key, no big deal. Then I'm going to leave the app, or I'm going to mail that key to somebody else who may be sending me Bitcoin. And I'll just basically paste that key into my, in this case, blockchain wallet, send myself a bunch of Bitcoin, and press send, voila, and I get a push notification in the Abra app that somebody sent me Bitcoin. Now again, no big deal, you've all seen that before, but this is where things start to get really interesting. Now I want to send this Bitcoin to somebody who has no idea what Bitcoin is, but I've told, hey, I'm going to send you money, just download Abra. Okay, it's all going to work. So now I'm going to send this money, and I'm going to send this money to Juan. Now Juan has a dollar wallet. Now when you type in somebody's phone number or choose them from your contacts at Abra, the app knows what currency they're expecting to receive. And that's important because you get a feel for how the exchange rates work in the app in real time. So it's showing me that if I send him this money right now, he's going to receive $100. And he won't even see Bitcoin when he receives the money. So I type in the amount, I send the money. Juan has now received $100. Okay, there's Juan's Abra app. Now Juan is going to then further send this money to somebody in his address book. We're going to choose Maria, and Maria's in Mexico, and she's expecting to receive pesos, right? So we're going to send, how much are we going to send? We're going to send her $100, which is equivalent in this demo to 2,000 pesos. We send her the money, and the money is sent. Now, Maria is going to need to get those pesos off of her phone, right? And there's a couple of ways to do that. We're going to come back to that in a second, right? So let's not forget about Maria. We'll come back to her. Now, this leads first to the second announcement that I want to make today. You all, hopefully by now, if not, I'll remind you that there's two ways right now. Well, now there's three with Bitcoin, but before there was two ways to interact with the Abra app to get money on and off. The first was using your bank account if you're in the US, and the second was this concept of the Abra teller, which we've been testing in Asia for a few months. We've got a few thousand tellers, for example, live in the Philippines, processing transactions every day. It's a really cool model. So the second announcement is that Abra tellers can now hold Bitcoin completely transparent to the consumers. Now, why would you want to do this? Let's think about this for a second. Okay? If you're a Bitcoin trader, right? How many of you here are Bitcoin traders? All right, right on. How big is the audience that you can trade with today? Well, if they know Bitcoin, right? So your audience is basically the universe of people that are interested in trading in Bitcoin. Now, there's 7 billion people on the planet, and I would posit that that number, unfortunately, on a percentage basis, is still pretty small. What this does is it allows you as the trader, now for the first time, to effectively trade with anybody on the planet who doesn't even know that you're trading with them in Bitcoin. Because if Maria needs to get those 2,000 pesos off of her phone, and you're using a Bitcoin wallet to do it, you can now trade with her effectively in Bitcoin, right? And she doesn't even know that you just traded with her in Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you how that works in a second. Right? So this means that not only that the consumer doesn't know what the teller is holding, but we went one step further. Let's say that you were a Bitcoin-based teller in Argentina. Now, we all know what's happening in Argentina. It's not fun. And I would guess that when people see what we're doing today, and I get to the third announcement, that people are mostly going to want to hold digital dollars in Argentina, but every once in a while get paper pesos out of their account. So, as I said, we took this one step further and created this concept of a two-step real-time foreign exchange transaction. So what that means is I can hold any currency in my Abra wallet as a consumer. Dollars, euros, pesos, makes no difference. I can meet a teller, and unbeknownst to me, that teller is holding Bitcoin in their Abra app, but that teller processes a peso withdrawal for me, doesn't even know that I was holding dollars on my phone. And Abra works out all the mechanics for the foreign exchange, the fee reconciliation in real time so that the consumer walks away with pesos, the teller has the increased amount of Bitcoin on their phone, or vice versa if the person wants to make a deposit, meaning that they can take the cash in one currency and pay out to the phone in another currency. And again, neither parties are the wiser for what each person was holding on their phone. Okay, so let's go back to Maria and let's process her withdrawal on her phone. Now, I'm going to sign up as an Abra teller, and I did a fresh install on my phone. I've chosen as a Bitcoin trader to become an Abra teller. I have no money on my phone yet, right? But I'm going to process the withdrawal from Maria, which is going to cause Bitcoin to be put on my phone, because I'm going to take the pesos off of her phone and hand her, in this case, paper pesos, but again, I can choose a different currency if I wanted to. So for Maria here, I'm going to process the withdrawal. And the first thing I do is I ask her to start up her Abra app, and if you've never seen it, you just hold the teller's phone over the consumer's phone, and it automatically recognizes their phone, syncs the phone so that there's no typing mistakes, and automatically tells me that I'm transacting with Maria. In this case, I type in the amount that I'm going to withdraw, 2,000. The app deals with the fees. The teller sets their own fees. So, you know, if you're in an area where there's not a lot of liquidity yet, the fees may be higher. If you're in a city with more competition, you know, the fees may be lower. But we want the network to set their own fees. Maria gets a push notification standing right in front of you to agree to the transaction, which causes her phone to do a publish of the money that she wants off of her phone to the blockchain, so that the teller can hand the cash to her. And then when she confirms that, I know that I hand her 1960 pesos, which is the 2,000 minus the fees, and I can click and see the reconciliation of how we did this calculation, and then furthermore see how much is going to be on my phone as the teller, which in this case is 1,980 pesos, which is the 2,000 minus Abra's fee. So it all works out very, very neatly, and then I have my Bitcoin on my phone, because when her phone pushed me her digital pesos, it was converted to raw Bitcoin on my phone, even though I handed her paper pesos for the withdrawal, like an ATM machine. Does that make sense? All right. So what you've just seen effectively is a real-time foreign exchange conversion where the payout currency could have been any currency that I chose that would be supported in the Abra app. Okay. So how did I actually become a teller in the first place? And this is part of this second phase launch we're doing, where we've created a whole new teller dashboard and onboarding process, which I'm going to show you. So you notice here, there's 3 buttons. Normally when you're a teller, there's a 4th button at the bottom, which is teller, which I'm going to show you how I got that on the screen. I'm going to press the menu button on the upper left, and I'm going to choose Become an Abra Teller, which anybody can do. And the onboarding process, basically we need to know a few things about you. We need to know where you are, and so that when the person is using the app, they know if there's a teller in their neighborhood and what your fees are, et cetera, et cetera. So here I'm going to set my location. I could go place a pin on a map and confirm the location, or I could, scroll around and choose a different location. Or if I want to basically have a fixed location that is a public place, I can type it in and set my address to be, like, for example, let's say I want to do my trades as a teller at Starbucks. I can put that in the map. Whatever location I choose, I can also change it later. I can change it all day long if I'm moving around, or if I have a convenience store or something like that. Obviously, it's not going to change much. Okay, so now I'm all set. So if I, as a trader, don't want to be available during certain hours, I can set the hours, or I can make myself unavailable by clicking the little toggle at the top of the app. Now, this is really interesting. This is the dashboard once I'm all set. If I scroll down here, you see that there's this transaction currency. Right, obviously, there's the fees as well, and I can change those fees. This transaction currency is really interesting. This is different from the wallet currency. This is what enables the consumer to have one currency and the payout to be in a different currency. Because if I choose transaction currency, I can now choose, right, any currency supported in the system that does the FX calculation, and I'll show you in a minute how many of them there are. So this is really cool. I've never seen this before, so I can't wait for people to try this out. And the other thing is that, you know, when you're getting into the fees, it kind of guides you a little bit. We're adding some stuff to figure out where you are and what the liquidity is in your neighborhood. So, you know, maybe the fees need to be a little higher to support your business. And those of you who use things like local Bitcoin know what I'm talking about. So now you see that I'm registered as an Abra teller and I'm good to go. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So we talked about Bitcoin support for a consumer. We talked about Bitcoin support for tellers and for traders. When is all this stuff going to be available? And so this is the 3rd announcement. So Abra's going global in February with 50 currencies initially, but usable in any country in the world, minus the sanctioned countries, of course. And we'll support individual tellers globally at that time. This is what we've been working towards for 2 years, and with a lot of people and a lot of sweat. And I'm super excited that today we're announcing for the first time that we're finally going to be able to flip the switch on. So let me show you what this means for the currency support. So I'm going to go back into the menu here. I'm going to change the currency. Now, here it tells me that Abra is available in so many currencies. I can scroll through. I can choose Bitcoin as a currency. Now, when you actually change currencies in the Abra app, it's not just a convenience balance. It literally republishes your balance to the blockchain and then sends you the money. And that's necessary because of the way our hedging system works. So just to further make the point that this isn't just a convenience balance. All right, and it shows you, as you're doing that currency conversion, what that's going to mean for your balance, right? So I'm going to back out of that. So we want people to, there's a couple of things. The biggest reason why we're announcing this now is that now that we're clear on taking this global, in February, we need more lead time to get as many individual tellers around the world live and ready to go in the system as quickly as possible. So we're really going to be making a big community push within the trading community, within the retail community, for all of you to help and support us to get as many tellers live as we can, as quickly as possible. So download the app, you can register today. If you turn the slides back on, there you go. You will get to the front of the line. Just ping me on Twitter and mention to me that you're, send me a DM or whatever, and just mention, hey, I'm a trader, put me to the front of the line. Promise you'll get to the front of the line. We are going to do things differently in the US. People outside the US, once they provide information, we're going to get to the point over the first several weeks where they're onboarded pretty much in real time in the US because of FinCEN policies. We're going to basically make sure that you're aware that you may have obligations for that and that it's your responsibility, and those of you who are already trading know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you can go to local Bitcoin forums and see how all that stuff works. All right, so please register as quickly as possible, and more importantly, tell all your friends to do the same. So just to summarize, right, so we've added Bitcoin support. This is transparent to users. The litmus test for me is going to be when all of you get your moms and dads to download Abra, and you send them Bitcoin, and they see dollars on their phone, withdraw it to their Bank America account, and you tell them 2 weeks later that you actually sent them Bitcoin and they didn't know. That's what I want to hear, right? Once we've accomplished that, I'll know that we've made this useful for everyone on the planet. And I believe that's what's achievable here now with this announcement. All right, and so this is the part that we've been working super hard on that's really complex, but this is the support for Bitcoin traders, which we just talked about, and then lastly, going live in February. So that's it. So we have a bunch of people here from the Abra team. We'll be around the next day or so. So come find us and ask us questions, and we can show you some more demos. But thanks for your support. And I think that probably one of the biggest takeaways for me is two things, right? So we have a set of core values that we talk about, and actually next week when I go back to the Bay Area, we're actually doing an offsite just on this. We do this for product, but we even do it for values. And this is the one, the core value of the company that really drives everything at the company. And that's the belief in the individual's right to conduct all forms of commerce freely and unencumbered. And so as part of that, I think that this is like a second coming out for us because of the kind of overt Bitcoin support. And I've told the company that it's really important to me that we become really positive and beneficial stewards of the Bitcoin community as part of what we're doing here. And so that's an extension of this value to me. And so I'm really excited that we're going to be more open about our support for the community going forward. Anyway, thank you very much for the time, and for your support.